Hey, it's your man Got a Dots. Welcome, man. We are back. Hope everybody had a very good weekend. I enjoyed my break. Had a good time. Had a good time out of town. Had a good time out of town. Hope everybody enjoyed your Mother's Day. Shouts out to the mothers out there. Yeah, we back, man. We back. Gator girl, what's going on? Gator girl, I almost didn't make the show today because I was listening to a concert. You was wrong again. Yeah, I'm wrong a lot, Gator girl, and we're gonna talk about it. But I'm wrong in a good way. Let me explain what I mean by I'm wrong in a good way. Um, these series, what's going on, Spider, man? I was listening to the concert, man. But anyway, um, I'm wrong in a good way because now we have some real series going on. I thought Dallas was going to be dead in the water. I thought Denver definitely was going to be dead in the water. And the Knicks Pacers has taken a turn. And I might be changing my picks. Maybe changing my picks based on what has happened over the last couple of days, last couple of games. We're going to start with the Pacers and the Knicks. The series is kind of going like I thought it would. And what I mean by that, I knew the Pacers had the firepower to compete with anybody, one of the best offenses in the league this year. Halliburton, I knew he had to be more assertive, and you saw that starting in game 2, and it continued over into games 3 and game 4. I think the Knicks have run into kind of a problem. And when I say run into kind of a problem, is that you're kind of seeing the injuries catching up to the Knicks. You can only get by with so much grit, so much championship experience from college. We talk about the Villanova boys. You can only get by with so much. You already was missing Julius Randle for the series. You lost Anunoby to injury. And now Mitchell Robinson had surgery on his ankle. You guys are dropping like flies. And you already had a short bench, and most teams do come playoffs. Your minutes kind of go up, but what you're seeing, especially over the last 2 games in Indiana, is Indiana's young, Indiana's fresh. Indiana has a little bit more depth right now than the New York Knicks, and thus for you saw what happened when they went up there. The focus was on Jalen Brunson. It's like, hey, we're going to do our best to try to slow down Jalen Brunson. One of you other guys can beat. I'm going to have to beat us. And I think, missing Anunoby out there on the court and what he brings on both sides is really hurting the Knicks. Like I said, injuries are catching up. And, it's a sad thing with, the playoffs. Injuries often play major roles in how series go. I had Knicks coming to this series. But I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not sure if I'm going to stick with that pick going forward because the Pacers look very, very, very good at home. And I think the Pacers walked away for those first 2 games in New York thinking, hey, we can beat this team. We cut down on the mistakes. We start making the dumb plays, start making smart plays, especially in the fourth quarter. We can put this team away. And that's what you saw in games 3 and games 4 up in Indiana. Pacers taking care of business, making the plays when they had to. Game 3 was kind of close. Game 4, not so much. But the way this series is kind of trending, Jalen Brunson seems to be off his game, and you can credit that to some of the defensive switches, defensive changes that the Pacers made. It started in game 2 and kind of trickled over to games 3 and 4. I'm not sure. Now I have the courage of your conviction. I said, I may. I mean, yeah, I just kind of go with the flow. Yeah, you're right. Knicks are running out of gas. You can only play those guys so many minutes, and eventually those minutes and the heavy minutes they've been playing. I'm talking about namely Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, DiVincenzo. The number of minutes that the starters have been playing for the Knicks, and goes to show you gotta have, as Shaq would like to call them, the others step up. And we'll talk about the others when we talk about some of these other series for the rest of the show. But I'm looking at how the Pacers are playing. Like I said, they had to be encouraged. They could have won games 1 and 2. Here goes the Pretenders #1 fan. Pacers have a lot more talent than the Knicks. Yeah, when you kind of look at the roster, but the Knicks took care of business at home. Now, I'm seeing, what are they going to do to kind of change things up, get Jalen Brunson back into rhythm, back into the flow that he was in the first 2 games of this series. you got to counteract what the Pacers have done on the defensive side in regard to Jalen Brunson. They're running two guys at him. As soon as he crosses over half court, getting the ball out of his hands, and then when he does have the ball in his hands, making him work a whole lot harder. And fatigue, he won't admit it. Coaching staff won't admit it, but fatigue catches up to teams this time of year, especially when you're playing the kind of minutes that the starters are playing for the Knicks. I mean, the Pacers, I had Knicks going into this series. But right now, the way it's trending, the Pacers are just going to, just come at them in waves. They're more healthy, this is a younger team. Their starters are playing minutes, but not the kind of minutes the Knicks starters are playing. And I'm curious to see I think winner of Game 5 wins this series. I think whoever wins Game 5 wins the series. Knicks will be back home. Hopefully they'll be rejuvenated, get a little bit rest in between games, but it's not looking good for them. It's not looking good. And shout out to Speak for coming in and dropping in. It's not looking good for the Knicks. It's not looking good for the Knicks. And Pacers, like I said, whoever wins Game 5 for me wins this series. I said this at the beginning of the series. I thought it's going to be a very entertaining series, and it has been, with the exception of the blowout the other game. This has been a very entertaining series. All of these series have gotten entertaining especially over the past weeks, especially since my last show when we was talking about it. Speaking of a series getting entertaining and exciting, Timberwolves and Nuggets. I thought Nuggets. I didn't think they was going to get swept. I thought it'd be over in 5. The way they was out there playing, the way Ant-Man was playing, the way they was defending Yoke. But like I mentioned earlier in the show, sometimes you got to have the others step up. Aaron Gordon stepped up. And had a great game. I want to say that was Game 4. Game 3, you saw Michael Porter Jr. Step up and start contributing. Jamal Murray has seemed to have found his playoff win again. And I think the Timberwolves, I think Game 3 should have been a wake-up call for them. They thought the Nuggets were going to lay down. I didn't think the Nuggets were going to lay down. I thought it'd be a 5-game series based on how well they played up in Denver. Game 5 will be up in Denver. Series is tied 2-2, and it's that championship experience of guys stepping up, making plays, having those kind of games. Aaron Gordon, I want to say he was like 11 for 12. You just don't, those are abnormal games, but sometimes you need those kind of abnormal games from the other. Yoke is still being Yoke. Jamal Murray, like I said, is finding his rhythm. Cat, I'm concerned. I'm concerned about Karl Anthony Towns. He doesn't seem, and you're right, Get a Girl. You never underestimate a champion. Cat just seems like those games 3 and games 4. I don't know what's going on with him. I haven't heard any news of any reported injuries that he's playing through, but he doesn't seem as locked in as he was in games 1 and 2. Gobert is doing a decent enough job considering that you're playing against the MVP. Yoke is going to do Yoke things. You just got to make him work for it, make it work hard for it, and you got to limit the impact of the other. I think that's what Minnesota did very well in games 1 and 2, limited the impact of the others. Yoke was going to be Yoke, but he had to work for it in games 1 and 2. He was able to set guys up to be more productive in the offense in games 3 and 4. You saw that with Aaron Gordon. You saw that with Michael Porter Jr. They had contributed key contributions from the others, and we have a series. I don't think Ant-Man, on his part, I don't think Ant-Man is going to allow the Wolves to go out without a fight. But look, we have a series now. Typically you say, a series doesn't start till the team wins on the road. I think this series in particular, the series is going to turn on its head when one of these teams win a home game. Denver does have home court advantage. So, if it goes 7, they will have game 7 in their house. I'm not sure if the Wolves are ready for that kind of pressure. A lot of questions need to be answered for the Timberwolves. Timberwolves look very good. Look like the team defensively that they were the entire season. Games 3 and 4, you allowed the others to kind of keep them afloat. Let Yoke do his thing. You allow Jamal Murray. How you doing, Dr. Nick? You allow Jamal Murray to get his rhythm back. You might be in trouble. you might be in trouble. I'm not concerned about Ant-Man. I think Ant-Man's going to come out guns blazing in Game 5. I'm concerned about Cat. I'm concerned. I'm concerned about Cat. Cat has the ability to be a game changer in this series, and you saw that a little bit of that in games 1 and 2. But the guy shoots for me, and this is just me personally. I think Cat to me shoots way too many outside shots. Doesn't take advantage of the mismatches that he's have on the offensive end, because honestly, Denver doesn't have an answer. If Cat is motivated and locked in, they really don't have an answer to slow down Cat, because Cat can kill you on the block. Cat can stretch it out. I think Cat has fallen too much in love with the outside shot. Yeah, you're right, Gator Girl. He plays like he's 5'5". Just because you can shoot threes, and granted, Cat is a former 3-point contest winner as far as shooting. He can shoot the ball. Just because you can doesn't necessarily mean that you have to. It doesn't mean that you have to. And I think Cat needs to get more back down up on the block, allow Ant-Man to kind of play off of him, play more of a two-man game, then put more pressure on the Denver defense. And I think Minnesota is going to have one of the others step up and have a game, much like the Nuggets have had guys step up and have a game. I mean, because Aaron Gordon going 11 for 12. Come on, man. Like that's abnormal. But this is the playoffs, and every now and then you need guys like that to have big games, big moments, guys who you don't normally focus in on the offensive end when you're game planning. You need those kind of performances. But we have a series. We had no try. He's solid. I'm just saying, he's solid, Gator Girl. But come on, 11 for 12. Stop. Even in his Orlando days, he wasn't playing like that. Let's stop. He got a lot of putbacks, a lot of easy shots. You can credit that to Yoke. Focusing in on guys, getting other guys involved, not necessarily being concerned with the score, but more or less setting up other guys to get them more into a rhythm. I think Yoke knows, hey, at any time he wants to get into a rhythm, he can do that. But his job, primarily on this team, is to get other guys going, get other guys into the floor of the game, get them shots, get them going. And I'm curious to see what Game 5 kind of looks like. I think Ant-Man's going to come out gangbusters, but I'm not sure if Big Cat's going to come along with him. I don't know if the Timberwolves' confidence was shaken, thinking that the Nuggets were going to lay down, and that didn't happen. And the championship experience of Denver never got rattled, never got flustered for the most part. Took care of business on the road. Now we're back at Game 5 in their house. Once again, I think whoever wins Game 5 wins this series. Whoever wins Game 5 wins this series. And I think Game 5 is more important for the Denver, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, just for the simple fact you want to get momentum back from Denver. You want to put the pressure on Denver going into Game 6 in your house. I think for me, Game 5 has got to be a must win. You got to have that mentality. If you're Minnesota, this is a must. This is a must win for Minnesota. The bandwagon. The T-Wolves have a good team. Gator Girl, they have a good team, and based on how they played in games 1 and 2, they're capable of going into Denver and taking care of business. They've done it twice already in this series. I mean, and it was talks of certain people that Timberwolves, maybe finals ready. I think this Western Conference playoffs is showing there's just a lot of depth out west. What you're seeing is a lot of high level basketball. And we'll be talking about high level basketball. Shout out to Oklahoma City who clutched it out in Game 4, tied the series up, going back home with a chance to go up 3-2. And like I said, we talked about the others in the Nuggets series. Can anybody have predicted the way PJ Washington has been playing this series against Oklahoma City? Was anybody expecting him to be, for lack of better terms, as far as the series is concerned, the second best player on Dallas? And for different stretches of games 2 and 3, PJ Washington was the best player out there for Dallas. I'm not sure what OKC is doing as far as like their matchups. He's a guy that can shoot. He's a stretch 4. I'm not understanding why you're giving this guy the opportunity to be, shooting the ball as wide open as he is. Maybe that's creativity of the Mavericks offense. But PJ Washington is definitely a focal point in this series. I'm waiting. I'm kind of concerned for OKC because I'm waiting for someone to come along with SGA and be that consistent number 2 player. This is a team, if you watch Oklahoma City throughout the year, have always had guys kind of step up into that role to the being the number 2 to SGA, but you haven't really seen it thus far with OKC this series. They haven't shot that well, and you would think the offense will play a lot better considering that Dallas is not one of the better defensive teams, but the way they're kind of scheming it up is like, hey, SGA, do you? The other guys, you're going to actually have to work for it and not feel. I think SGA might be better served with coming out in more of a facilitator role in game 5, getting the other guys involved, because he knows, hey, SGA knows I can go get 30 in my sleep. But I think it's important for him, much like it was with Luka and Kyrie, to kind of make sure the other guys are getting involved and knowing, hey, I can get my offense when I need to get my offense in those key moments. But I think SGA needs to come out with a more of a facilitator mindset, especially in the first quarter. Get the other guys involved, get the other guys in rhythm, because that's when OKC is at their best. When other guys are confident in the offense, is all over the place. But SGA, I think he needs to play more of a facilitator in game 5. I'm closely watching that. Dallas has surprised me. And you chalk that up to good coaching. Jason Kidd has done a phenomenal job this series, giving Oklahoma City different looks on the offensive and defensive end. I don't think Oklahoma City was ready for PJ Washington to be such a focal point of the series. But this has been a very very entertaining. The whole second round. Let's keep it that wow. The whole second round has been must see TV, and this is why I enjoy the NBA playoffs as it is, because with the exception of Boston and Cavaliers, which I think is over in game 5. I'm not sure what the injury is with Spider Mitchell. Will he be ready to go for game 5? Will he try to get out there and try to ham it up? Season is on the line. It's must win from the rest. I thought the series might go 6. It looked like it's just going to go 5. I think Boston has found their mojo back, and what made them successful during the regular season is not relying strictly on the 3-pointer. Hey, putting pressure on, putting pressure on the defense to guard them at all 3 levels. Surprisingly, they're doing this without Porzingis. I think this allows Porzingis more time to recover. There's no need to rush him, and considering how the other series is going, when I'm talking about the Knicks and the Pacers, how hard fought that series has been. That series could drag out. This may be an opportunity for Boston. Hey, take care of business game 5, put Cavaliers out of their misery, get more time to rest, get your guys a little bit more healthy, enjoy the time off, and let the Knicks and the Pacers beat each other up, because that's what it's been with that series. Let it beat each other up. But Cavaliers, I thought they may push it to 6 coming into this series, because Boston does have the habit of sort of kind of playing down to the competition, and you've seen that already in the series where the Cavaliers was able to take a game. Boston, I'm still not 100% sold on them. Still not 100% sold on them. But when you're in the East, you get a girl to pretend it's got the easiest road to the Eastern Conference Final. I mean, I think the Pacers will provide a better matchup for Boston, considering how the Pacers offense is. I think that provides more of a challenge to Boston to, hey, this is a team that, that can score with us, have guys that can score in different ways. I think Miles Turner could be a big factor in a series against the Celtics, because he's going to draw their bigs out. He has the range to shoot 3, and I think Halliburton is going to put pressure on their guards. You do have Drew Holiday, one of the best defensive guards, but he's been kind of like nicked up. You have Derek White, who's a very good defensive guard, but I think Halliburton puts a lot of pressure on any defense. And if you're trying to play at the Pacers pace, and I think that's what Boston kind of gets into trouble when they start to play at the pace of another team. They want to start jacking up threes, and that's when they find themselves in trouble, because when that 3-point shot it's not going. Too often in crucial moments, Boston will just keep going back to the well. Keep going back to the well. Sometimes you gotta, step inside a couple feet, take the long mid range shot to kind of get yourself back into a rhythm. But you're right, Speak. Boston has a bad habit of letting teams back in the game, But if Cleveland rolls out there in Game 5, no Spider Mitchell, it's a wrap. I think Mitchell healthy puts much like Halliburton would, puts a lot of pressure on their defense with his ability to penetrate, slice and dice. And it's not like Boston has without Porzingis. It's not like Boston has a true rim protector. That is there to alter shots. I like Al Horford. I think he's a good piece on a championship level team, but I don't think guys fear coming down the paint if Al Horford is sitting there. It's a different story when we're talking about like a Chet Holmgren, who's more of a shot blocker than Horford. But Horford is a good piece. But I think Pacers. You said Darius Garland going off for Spider. He better. It's not. It's kind of hard to remember that Darius Garland at one time was an all-star player. He has the capability to go out there and light it up. Very good range at the guard position, but if no Spider Mitchell, I think Garland's going to have to go for 40 to force a Game 6. I think you're going to need that kind of performance from him to force a Game 6. I think that's the problem that the Cavaliers have, and you guys have, if you've been watching, you've heard, the rumors, especially with the draft coming up. Could the Cavaliers draft Bronny James in an attempt to lure LeBron back home? When you watch the Cavaliers play outside of Spider and Garland, who's there consistently? I know Evan Mobley can get it going. You don't have any Jared Allen in this series, so there's your shot block. But who on this offense, this team can go out there and get their shot? Karis LeVert is streaky at best. He's a guy that can go get his shot, but he's a streaky shooter. He's a streaky shooter. If he was much more consistent, I might feel a little bit more comfortable with Spider being out. But no, I think the series is over in 5. But overall, man, I'm loving it. I'm loving it. The storylines that are coming out, what's going to happen. These Game 5s are critical. Game 5s are critical. I think we're going to start with the Mavs series. I think the Mavs feel like, hey, they let Game 4 get away from them, a chance to really put the pressure on OKC, with them being the number 1 seed, and their lack of playoff experience finally catching up to them. But, you let Game 4 slip. I think it may come back to bite Dallas in the ass. Because how, are you going to bet on PJ Washington being as consistent as he is thus far this year? Or can you count on that going forward? Kyrie has been kind of up and down. Luka has been kind of fighting through injury. Can you count on PJ giving you the 25 pluses he's giving you this series? I don't know. Come on, get it, girl. If Bronny don't tramp. Listen, I've been hearing rumors that, based on, LeBron not really fully committing to the Lakers thus far, kind of wait and see. I've heard people saying is, Bronny might be a friend. That people are looking at Bronny as a Bronny and LeBron as a package deal. I've heard rumors that the Atlanta Hawks might be willing to free up some cap space, draft Bronny, with the attempts to lure LeBron to Atlanta, because it's obvious they're going to have to do something to Trae Young, DeJounte Murray tandem. I think one of those guys go. I think Trae Young may be the guy to go because he brings the more back in value. But Bronny is, he had a pretty good draft combine, checked out healthy, which is the big thing. Checked out healthy, but you're going to have a team that's going to they're going to take a chance on Bronny and hope that they're in the right financial situation to lure LeBron. I think if I'm a Laker, it's been talks to the Lakers possibly drafting Bronny in the first round to sweeten the deal to keep LeBron in LA. I'm not sure. And the fact that LeBron really hasn't come out and committed to an extension already, really hasn't come out and said he's coming back. Yeah, I hear you, Gator Girl, and speak. That's what you're hearing on the wires, man. That's what you're hearing. Teams are looking at Bronny, especially like I said, he had a pretty good draft combine. Was able to showcase his skills. Like I said, first of all, checked out healthy. Which was big. I don't think he's going back to college because, like I said, you're hearing rumors that teams are thinking about taking him in the first round, and not top 5. We're not going there. But you do have teams that are willing to take a shot on getting him and bringing in LeBron. One team I heard also, San Antonio Spurs. San Antonio Spurs have 2 first-round picks this year, have the 4th and the 8th pick. Could they take the 8th pick in the hopes of luring LeBron? I mean, Greg Popovich has a fantastic relationship with LeBron. Could that be something that they're exploring? The Bronny situation is interesting. It's interesting. I've heard some scouts say, they wouldn't draft him, but when you have an opportunity, and I think teams are looking at that as an opportunity. Like if we take a flyer on, because he's not a bad player, just not as hyped as he was coming into the college season. He's not a bad player. He's not a guy that's as of right now, you build a team around him, but I think he'll be a solid contributor on a winning team, in a winning culture. But I think teams are looking at him as a package deal. You could bring in LeBron James. I think LeBron James will be willing to take a substantial discount if it's a situation that suits him and Bronny. I think that definitely has to be on the table. Now, I think that's how some teams are looking at it. That's why you're hearing rumors of teams, looking to clear up some cap space, looking at Bronny a little bit more closely than they would have, had LeBron not made, that statement of wanting to play with the Sun. Does Bronny even want that? I don't know. I think he's been kind of like, whatever, kind of like a whatever mindset with it. He really hasn't, delved into it and really commented on it, but we'll see. Like I said, draft combine was cool. I'm about to go, get into some playoffs. My damn self, watch some games as we close out the show. Be sure to show back up here on Thursday. I'm looking at something possibly for Friday over here. But like I said, I got to get a little bit more material to kind of flesh it out. I want to kind of take a closer look at the A'ja Wilson deal and how that kind of ties in with Caitlin Clark. For those who don't know, A'ja Wilson, 2-time MVP, 2-time NBA champion. I mean, WNBA champion, excuse me. All the accolades she got, she finally got a signature shoe deal. So I might want to explore that on Friday, but we'll see. If you see me around, you see me around. As always, it's a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out to listen a little on me. He's not a big player. Well, I mean, like I said, he's a serviceable player. So, I mean, a 6'3" guard that can shoot, that can defend, has some passing ability. You can find a spot for him. The JJ versus Doc Kerfuffle. Yeah, I want to kind of touch on that, too, because it's been rumored that JJ Redick, maybe a leading candidate for a head coaching job, and it's been a lot of talk about should he be looked at for a head coaching position, but at the same time, Steve Kerr didn't have any head coaching experience, and look how that's kind of turned out with Golden State. Maybe it's the right situation, but we'll talk about that on a hold on. Okay. We'll talk about that on the later show. Thank you for coming out. Listen to little old me as we close. I'll end you off with the phrase that pays around here. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, but every time you learn. And I'm out.